loves, welcome back to my channel. I'm Hollyana and today we are doing our July of 2022 temperature blanket update. Let's do it! If you're new here, or if you just have no idea what a temperature blanket is a blanket where you crochet or knit one row for every single day of the year, and you choose what color you're going to use every day based on the temperature of that day. So some people use the high temperature of that day, some people use the low. I'm using the average temperature every day where I live here in Nashville, Tennessee. You can choose any color that you want to represent the different temperatures. I kind of went with like classically cold, classically warm colors to represent my temperatures, and this is what my temperature chart looks like. This is my color chart. It's kind of messy. You know, it's gotten bent, it's gotten some food on it, but hey, we are seven months into this year. So, you know, it's gonna get a little messy. Honestly, the fact that I have not lost this yet, I'm impressed. I'm impressed with myself that I have not lost my crochet hook. I've been using the same hook all year. They came from my lovely crochet set of hooks. I love this. I will link it in this video. And just the fact that I have not lost my hook or this is kind of amazing to me because I lose everything. All right, so let's take a look. Let's take a look at July. If you have been following our journey closely, you know that there are two colors we have not used yet in our blanket. We have not used Pool, which represents 9 degrees Fahrenheit and below, and we have not used Cherry Red, which represents 90 degrees Fahrenheit and above. Now, don't get me wrong. We've had so many days that have hit 98, 99, even 100 degrees here in Nashville, Tennessee. But even though that was our high, the highest average that we have had has been 89 degrees. So we've been using a lot of coral. Speaking of using a lot of coral, if you'll take a look at our month of July, you can see that it is mostly coral. I think we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We had 6 days in the 70s, and everything else has been an average in the 80s. And it's kind of crazy because for all of July and all of June, we have only used golden coral. If you watched last month's update, you may remember that I promised you guys a temperature pillow. I promised you another project. And guess what? I have not started on it, but guess what we're gonna do in this video? We're gonna start our temperature pillow. If you're wondering, Holly, why are you starting a temperature pillow? You already have a temperature blanket. Well, I will tell you. So I live in Nashville, Tennessee, as we have established, which is where I'm basing the temperatures on for my temperature blanket. But I recently started splitting my time between Nashville, Tennessee and LA. And so a lot of people were asking me, well, when you're in LA, are you going to crochet those days with the LA temperature, or are you gonna keep doing the Nashville temperature? And I just think that it would be kind of a mess to switch back and forth between LA and Nashville temperatures on my blanket. So I asked you guys, what if I started a second temperature project? I didn't want to do another temperature blanket because I don't have time to do 2 temperature blankets. That's a lot of things. But I was like, what if we start a second temperature project? Something that can represent LA's temperatures. And you guys on YouTube and on TikTok are the ones who came up with the idea for a temperature pillow. So I am so excited. We are going to have a temperature blanket to represent Nashville, and we are going to have a temperature pillow to represent LA. I am going to be also using the average temperature every day in LA, and I'm going to be starting on January 1st, and I'm going to be using the exact same temperature chart that we are using for Nashville. So we will be able to look at our pillow and we'll be able to look at our blanket side by side and kind of get a really good comparison of like what the weather was like in Nashville versus LA all of this year. I think this is long enough for row number 1. I kind of measured it against this pillow. I made it a little bit longer than this pillow because at the end of the year, we're gonna have to sew both of the sides together and stuff it with stuffing, so it won't be like quite as wide as this. It'll need a little bit to be sewn together. So I think this is the perfect length. So hey, January 1st done. I think I'm literally gonna have to order more Frosty Green and Light Shade because literally all of January in LA was in the 50s and the 60s. So the entire month of January is gonna be between these two beautiful colors. Like why is the temperature in LA just so gorgeous year round? Like I'm very excited to spend part of this winter in LA. I'm also very excited for this project because these rows are very short, right? These rows are super short and it's not going to take me very long to go back and forth compared to my temperature blanket, which we actually timed on my temperature blanket, and without filming, without talking, without, being distracted by something, if I just concentrate and crochet as fast as my fingers can crochet, it takes me about 14.5 minutes to do one row on my temperature blanket. And I never crochet undistracted. Like, let's be real, I'm usually on YouTube Live while I'm crocheting and talking to you guys and hanging out, and I love that. But that means it takes me an average of 30 minutes to crochet one row on the temperature blanket. So it takes me a really, really long time. So the temperature pillow, I think, is going to be great. It's going to be a quicker project. It's going to be super fun. And I'm just so excited to be able to compare it to the temperature blanket. I'm excited to be able to lay them out side by side and be like, oh my gosh, this is Nashville versus LA. I'm coming to the end of the row for January 3rd, which, by the way, is my birthday. And I'm just already so excited about how much less time this is going to take than the temperature blanket. So to visualize this, right? This is the height, the width, the tallness of it. And I'm gonna go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, right, for the whole year. So since it's still gonna be 365 rows, it is going to be the same length as our temperature blanket. And then when we get to the end, we will actually be folding the temperature pillow in half, sewing up both sides, and then stuffing the middle, right, with stuffing, and then sewing up the last side. So I think that this might actually turn out being kind of like a body pillow, like really, really long, because it's gonna be half of the length of a queen size bed. Another thing that I like about this project being so small is that I probably will actually take it with me to LA sometimes whenever I go and be able to work on it from LA, because one of my LA roommates, they were like, I'm so excited to see your temperature blanket growing like in real life. And I just was thinking, I can't really take my temperature blanket with me. Like, it's so dang big. It would take up quite literally like 3/4 of my suitcase. And not to mention, I'm sorry, my clothes are all replaceable. Can you imagine if I flew with my temperature blanket after spending hours and hours and hours on it, and then the airport lost it? Like, no. But I'm thinking that my temperature pillow, at least for the next couple months, is gonna be small enough that I could probably fly with it in my carry-on. So if not, I will work on my temperature blanket and my temperature pillow every time that I'm here in Nashville. But I'm really, really excited to kind of have this physical representation of splitting my time between Nashville and LA, because it's been a big step and it's something that I'm nervous about. It's a whole new city, it's a whole new world, and I'm just kind of diving even more and more into this full-time content creator thing, and I'm just excited to be going on the journey and excited to be going on it with you guys. Even if I only spend the next 6 months in LA, I will always be able to look back at this temperature pillow and remember this time and kind of have this like physical memento from my time in LA. So thank you guys for the idea of the temperature pillow. Well, I think I'm gonna go take off my makeup, put on my pajamas, get in bed, turn on a good TV show, and work on my LA temperature pillow, or maybe catch up on my temperature blanket, because the thing about temperature blankets is every day that goes by is the day you're behind. So even though August 2nd just finished, I am already 2 rows behind on my temperature blanket. So time to go relax and crochet. If you had fun, be sure to like and subscribe. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions about crocheting, because I do want to start doing crochet tutorials here on this channel. I do updates on my temperature blanket and now my temperature pillow the first week of every month. So I'll see y'all next month. Bye!